is yet to come. Please welcome Mr. Jaime Ayala, Chairman of Hybrid Social Solutions and Solar Village Foundation, to give us an overview about the Hybrid Impact Network. Sir Jim?
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir, we can.
Great. Thank you, Julius, for that introduction. And thank you, Pastor Paolo, for kicking us off. This network is advancing God's kingdom, and no better way to start this conference than with a prayer. What I thought I would do is, since we're doing this now for the fourth time, where we're convening our Hybrid Impact Network, I thought since we have many new partners, I thought I might go back to the beginning of the network, just so that everyone is on board with what we're doing. So it really starts 11 years ago. If you can put up the first page, please, Irish. Yeah, stay there. It starts about 11 years ago when I left corporate. Instead of pursuing profit, I was called to really pursue God's purpose, which is to help the poor and the marginalized here in our country. And so as I started thinking about that, I kept getting led to light. And, as I went into it, indeed, 20 million rural Filipinos are suffering from energy poverty. Next slide, please. So as I looked into that, then the next question is, well, why don't rural areas have electricity? What's preventing them from having electricity? And at the end, the normal model is that we extend the grid. Meralco or the electric cooperatives, you extend the grid. But actually, in many, many places, islands, mountains, it's too expensive to extend the grid. And the periphery of the grid is very unstable. And worse, when the grid is extended, many times the power will be provided by diesel. And renewable energy, it keeps going down as a share of our power. So I felt that there was really something wrong with that, but I couldn't figure out how are we going to bring light. Next page, please. And that's when I met Dr. Harold. He's a former missionary, organ player from Germany. He had been working in Africa with a solar foundation called Stiftung Solar Energy. And he started working on really neat German technology through a company that he founded called Sun Transfer. And he showed me his product, which was called ST2. And he told me all about how these solar lights can actually bring light and energy to remote places, and you don't need the grid. And it sounded very, very promising. But of course, for me, it was a big question mark. And so I said, all right, why don't we put it in the hands of a few people, and let's see whether these solar lamps actually make a difference. And one of the first people that I met in this journey was Susana Di Maano from Mindoro. And she had our solar light. And, when I met with her, she was full of stories about how the light had helped her. This is a picture of Susana and her daughter. She has 4 children. Once they got this solar light, the children were all able to study together. They were very excited to study using their new light. They no longer argued about the one candle that they had. And it turns out that all 4 of them became honor students. And Susanna herself, Susanna also said that it helped her a lot with her laundry. You see her laundry in the back. And one of her complaints before, when they were using kerosene lights, was after doing the laundry and then she'd be drying the clothes overnight, in the morning they would all be yellow because of the smoke. But with solar light, her clothes were just white as can be. And she had a lot of other stories. Let me just give one more story, which is how her husband used the light for their business. So if you can play the video, please, Irish. This is Susana's husband, and they have a Lanzones farm.
Eksakto talaga ang bungahan ng Lanzones. Ay di siyempre maraming mga maniniraho, mga hayop. Ganun po paniki. Yan, dinadala-dala ho niya tuwing gabi. Iniilawan ho niya. Pagka ho yan inakwan at naiilawan niya hong gayon, siyempre lilipad na ho yung kwan. Matatakot yun.
Dahil nabantayan na nila ang mga tanim na lansones, saging at nyog, naging maganda ang kita ng mag-asawa noong tagprutas. Kumita sila ng 50,000 piso at nakabili sila ng second-hand na motor.
Dahil ho kaya tumas ho kita, nakapagpunda naman ho kahit second hand. Kailangan ho namin yung kaysa sa ho babayad kami ng babayad sa hakot gahon ng pakain ng babayad.
So that was Susanna, and after next slide, please. After listening to her and her stories, and because we had done a pilot and the other women as well, I was convinced. I was convinced that this new technology could actually make a huge difference. And so we figured the challenge was, how can we enable more people like Susanna to have access to solar? And this was a huge challenge because the Susannas that we needed to reach are very remote, and they also needed financing. And so we went out, and one of the first people I met was Julius Alec, who's with CARD. And at the time, Julius also very, very interested in solar. We agreed to pilot together, bringing these solar lights to their members. So CARD is an MFI, and they have centers where we were able to demo the units, and then CARD gave loans. And through that, we were able to access a lot of people. This is a picture of us in 2010 when we first started, many pounds ago. Next slide, please. And so we got started, and by the end of 2010, we had about 14,000 people already using our systems. And we met social enterprise networks like Peace and Equity and Hystra, and they helped us expand our program, design our program. And we also met Negros Women, and we met ASCII, and we started. And by 2011, we had 24,000 people using our systems, and that kept increasing. And in 2013 and 2014, remember we had Typhoon Yolanda, and there were a lot of, we realized that there was a big need for solar in emergency situations. And so we worked with donors like Shell and IOM from the United Nations and Rafi in Cebu, who donated, and other NGOs who distributed lights to typhoon survivors. So by 2014, we had about 185,000 people using our systems. Next slide, please. But we started to realize that we had a bit of a problem. And the problem was sustainability. I'm showing a picture of somebody fixing a broken solar light. And unfortunately, that somebody is actually a loan officer. And so we started noticing that there were a lot of returns of the lights, even though these were high quality German lights. And we realized that a lot of the returns were because people were not being trained properly on how to use the lights. So there was a need to do a lot of training. There was a need to have technicians in place, even with training. The technology, again, this was first generation technology. It was easy for the lights to go to sleep if you overuse the lights. And so we had to come up with repair manuals and train technicians. And so we realized that we needed new technology and we needed local on-the-ground support. Next page, please. And so the next step was we found new technology partners. This is when we met Sun King and we met Omnivoltaic, and they had the next generation technology using lithium batteries. And we started opening solar hubs. These are our offices in the rural communities that support the work that we do through last mile value chains. We are a last mile distributor, which means that we're doing the distribution in the last mile, but we are also the ones that are training people and making repairs. And in order to open all of these, solar hubs, we needed impact investors. And so Fair Planet from Germany and Gaia from France started helping us. They actually financed all 8 of our first solar hubs. And by 2018, we had 8 solar hubs. We were a part of some additional social enterprise networks like Schwab Foundation. And we met Celco. Dr. Harish Handy will be talking later. I went to Bangalore together with Peace and Equity, together with the HSSi Foundation, and learned so much about the work that they were doing, which is in a similar space. And we started getting a lot of academe volunteers, interns, professors helping us from Princeton, from Yale, from Claremont McKenna, Fulbright scholars, to help us with our sustainability programs. And by 2018, there were 314,000 people benefiting from our systems. Next slide, please. So at the end of 2018, we started to get a lot of inquiries from our clients and our partners saying, you know, you guys are focused mainly on households and micro enterprises. Can you help with farming? Can you help with fishing? How about schools? How about clinics? How about other market segments? And at the same time, clients were saying, do you guys have refrigerators? How about fishing lights? You know, how about stuff for cooking, right? Or vaccine refrigerators. So there were many inquiries about different agricultural and commercial and social products. And so next slide, please. So what we did was we said, okay, let's start working with our partners to define new programs that can go deeper. And let's start working with additional partners in additional areas so we can go after some of these market segments. And at the same time, on the philanthropy side, working with donors like Sun Life, like the Australian Embassy, like Consuelo, Synergy Solar, and NGOs. Importantly, our partner NGO, Solar Village Foundation, but also others like Patrick Hennessy, who works with us in Bohol. And so we came up with new programs we would work with donors and NGOs on these new programs for schools and for clinics and other areas. And we started understanding how important it was for all of our partners to be able to talk about impact. And so we became a member of GOGLA, the Global Off-Grid Lighting Association, and helped them develop standardized ways to measure impact together with universities that we partnered with. And finally, we started introducing additional technology partners like BioLight and Bright, who had additional technology for some of these new segments. So by 2021, we had about over 650,000. By the end of this year, we will have over 650,000 community people that are using our systems. 650,000. Next slide, please. So you saw the slide that Julius used to introduce everyone. What I've done is I've added all the logos of the people that have been with us on this journey over the last 11 years. And what we've built together is a network that is an ecosystem that enables rural barangays to have access to energy. Currently, our footprint together as a network, we are in 1,800 rural barangays. And in these barangays, we can provide the products, we can provide the financing, we can ensure people are trained, we can ensure that anything that gets broken can be fixed, and we can provide a much wider range of products. And so it's a really exciting time for the network. Next slide, please. So that's our network, but what impact have we had together since 2010? Our theme today is celebrating 11 years of impact. And we, as I mentioned, we use the GOGLA Impact Calculator. GOGLA stands for the Global Off-Grid Lighting Association. And they've come up with a very scientific way of measuring impact. Together, I'd like to report that together as a network, in addition to the 657,000 people that will have improved energy access, by the end of this year, we will have lit up 100, we will have enabled our clients to have 100 million hours of additional lighting and charging. And these clients will have saved 1.4 billion pesos. 1.4 billion pesos in their hands by saving on energy. And at the same time, from a planet standpoint, we've reduced CO2 by 64,000 tons. So that's our impact according to the numbers using the GOGLA metrics. Next slide, please. But what does this mean at the level of an individual client? What is our impact on an individual client? I'd like to define impact as defined by the Cambridge English Dictionary. Impact is a powerful effect that something, especially something new, has on someone. And so our solar lights were definitely new. The someone were our clients, the rural clients. And what we saw from their stories were the typical benefits were 9. Number 1, additional income, dagdag kita. Number 2, saving on energy. Number 3, better communications. Number 4, better preparation during disasters. Number 5, better safety, less fires. Number 6, better health, less smoke inhalation. Number 7, better educational outcomes as children can study better. Number 8, it's good for the environment. And then we have a last category, which is basically other, because there are so many other ways that solar can help. And so we saw these benefits all over. Next slide, please. And so today, what we're going to be doing is we will be having our Story Stellar Awards. These awards are awards given to our clients that have the best impact stories across these different categories. So think of Susanna's story and multiply that by 100,000, because we now have we've now deployed 100,000 lights. Today you will hear not 100,000 stories, but a lot of stories, some of the best stories from this group. Next slide, please. So that's our footprint, that's our impact. Those are some of the stories you're going to hear later. So where do we go from here? Well, I mentioned that we now have this impact network, all of us together. One way to think about this network is that we are a gridless solar electricity network. We are a network that can provide electricity even in places where we don't have the grid. It's a little bit like in telephones, you have landline and you have wireless. Well, in electricity, if you want electricity today, you have to be on the grid. But we are going gridless, so that that farmer in his field, or that fisherman in an island, or the tribe up in the mountains, even if people are not connected to the grid, they will have access to light and energy. And together, as we build out this network, we can transform rural communities. The GOGLA measurements are in line with the SDG measurements. I know many of our stakeholders here are very keen to measure impact according to the Sustainable Development Goals. And at the same time, we can achieve our goal of access for all, renewable energy access for every single Filipino all over the country. Next slide, please. So as I end my speech, I'd like to make a challenge, and I'll call it Challenge 2025, that 5 years from now, in 2025, we can have 5 times the impact in 5 years. I call Challenge 2025, 5 by 5. So in the next 5 years, let's aim that we've had in the first 10 years. Which means that the number of people with improved energy access by the end of 2025 will be 3 million Filipinos. That's still a small percentage of the 20 million without electricity. Let's aim that these people will have enjoyed the benefits of 800 million hours of light and charging. That the benefits that accrue to better lighting at home, so they can study, so that they can have their income can go up, right? And that they will have saved 6.3 billion pesos in the process. And from a planet standpoint, that they will have reduced their CO2 footprint by about 290,000 tons. So I recognize that these are incredibly ambitious goals, but I firmly believe that with our network and with new members and everyone doing their best, I'm very sure that we can actually achieve, if not surpass these goals. But of course, this won't happen without everyone's commitment and hard work. And I just like to say on our side, from Hybrid Social Solutions, that our commitment to the network, to all of you, is that we will be building and opening new solar hubs all over the country, so that we can now support our programs in more places. We will be working on our programs so that we can partner with more people to serve more client segments. We tailor our program so that it works for our partners, and it also enables us to reach new client segments. We will be working with our technology partners so that we have new technologies that are appropriate for more rural use cases. There's so much exciting new technology coming, and we can't wait to share it with you. And finally, final commitment, which is what we're doing today, is that no matter what we're doing, as we enable more people to have access, that we will continue to focus on impact, focus on helping people, focus on making a difference, and in the process, also to recognize the members of our network, our different stakeholders, who are doing the hard work every single day to bring light and energy to more people. So welcome again, everyone, to our fourth Hybrid Impact Net Fellowship. And I look forward to a wonderful afternoon celebrating the impact that we've had together.
Wow, that was amazing and very inspiring. Thank you so much, Sir Jim, for inspiring everyone in the network with your heart for serving others. The work that we do would not be possible, of course, beside from the vision that Sir Jim has, without, of course, our technology partners, our programs, and our solar hubs.